Check.
Maximilian, and Alex Wolf.
Background. Food security is explained by Dr. Maria Kalimag, MD, PhD, as existing when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to safe and sufficient nutritious food, which meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Kalimag out. About 44,151,000, or 13.5% of people, suffer from food insecurity. Safe substances determined by the FDA are classified as GRAS, which is generally recognized as safe. Food companies use GRAS substances like salt or pepper without explicit confirmation from the FDA that they can be used, because everyone knows that salt and pepper is safe. But the GRAS classification system is not foolproof, like in the case of the 2022 French lentil and leek crumble daily harvest box, which sent people to the ER room because of an ingredient terra flower, which was considered as GRAS. This is because of a flaw in the system. Because companies can publish their own research that shows that food is GRAS without any FDA involvement. But even if companies send their research to the FDA and it is deemed unsafe, they can ignore it and sell it anyways, which leads us to our problem. The U.S. food security is low in certain areas because of problems related to food nutritiousness and abundance.
Solution 1. Regulating the food issue. One quotation by Gerald Mende from Harvard Public Health exemplifies this issue very well. He said, "It is time for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the U.S. Department of Agriculture to use their authority under federal law to protect us from these highly processed foods." This is already sort of happening, where California banned the red dye number 40 back in September of 2024. However, there aren't many examples of laws like this. In the whole nation, there have only been 4 proposed rules, 1 federal bill, and 0 laws about food regulation. This solution might be better for lawmakers if they instead banned excessiveness and not necessarily the synthetic additives overall. So for example, if a dye isn't totally bad for someone, they could ban the excessiveness of it in a drink instead of not letting companies use this in a drink. The implications. This is a better solution than many other ideas because people have to abide by laws and they're more concrete. So people don't have to listen to warnings. For example, if you put a warning in the nutrition facts that something is very high in fat and it has more than your daily value, people might not even look at the warnings, or they might just look over the warnings and say that, well, the food is tasty anyways, so they might as well eat it. The GRAS issue. This would also fix the GRAS issue because the GRAS issue is basically meaningless. So GRAS classification has many flaws as it can include almost anything and the FDA does not have to involve in it, like Jackson said. So for example, salt and pepper and fruits and vegetables are all included in GRAS because we know they're safe and they come from nature. However, many chemicals and dyes are also GRAS, and the research on these is not very advanced. So what we could do to make the research better is that a lot of the research is outdated and we need to update it. So, for example, if a dye was invented back in the 70s, they would do the research in the 70s or 80s and it hasn't been updated since. But since we know so much more now, it would most likely be dangerous. So we should update the research to make more things not GRAS, which would make it narrower as well.
Solution 2, mobile markets. Well, what are mobile markets? Mobile markets, like the one operating here in Phoenix, Arizona, titled The Fresh Express, are like healthy food trucks. They are food trucks that transport fruits and vegetables for affordable and cheap prices to places like food deserts across America. You might be thinking, well, what is a food desert? It's an area in an impoverished neighborhood where they may not have access within driving distance for healthy fruits and vegetables like from a grocery store. Why does this solution work? Well, it solves the 20% increase of grocery prices from COVID. Fruits and vegetables since COVID have increased a total of 20% in price. So people who were living from paycheck to paycheck back then are now still living from paycheck to paycheck, having to afford more expensive fruits and vegetables just to get their proper nutrients. Also, it handles the transport of foods. Like I said before, people who live in food deserts Even when they can't afford these expensive fruits and vegetables, they still have to afford delivery, gas prices, just anything to be able to make that distance and even purchase the nutrients. So what the Fresh Express does, or the mobile market, is it delivers the fruits and vegetables to them for no additional fee because it is a charitable program and not really looking to gain money.
Okay, so let's look over again the purpose of our solutions. So the purpose of our solutions is to have a wide effect on the wide problem, which is food being bad in America. By using our solutions entitled Solution 1 and Solution 2, we can have a wide scope of people affected. And we can also create more cost-effective solutions for people. So let's talk again about the implications of Solution 1 and Solution 2. So Solution 2 can fix issues surrounding food additives. So because there are so many food additives in our food that are taking our food and making the nutritious just basically less and meaningless, we can actually fix this by regulating these sources, or rather, sources of the nutrients. So Solution 1 regulates them and thus allows us to get rid of some of these problems related to food additives. And then Solution 1 also forces companies to create foods differently, potentially making foods healthier. So as I said before, by regulating these food ingredients, we can potentially cause companies to create different products that are actually healthier because they can't use the food ingredients that were bad previously. And Solution 2 costs less because, as I said before, we're able to deflate some of the price increases in food for the people in food deserts by allowing them to have another way to get food. And then Solution 2 is also viable because it is being done in the present. It is being done in here, Phoenix, Arizona, and it's shown to have a certain amount of success in helping people get foods. So this makes Solution 2 again more viable. And then finally, Solution 2 allows us to reach more people because before the solution was implemented, people in food deserts may not have had a way to get food. But with this mobile market, we can reach more people in areas that wouldn't have been able to reach before. All we have to do is scale it up. So here's some limitations of each solution, and then both of them. So for Solution 1, once again, laws can't be perfect. So as I said before in the grass issue, grass isn't perfect, and the FDA's regulation of these ingredients isn't perfect. If we were to impose a different law, a better law than grass, we'd have to make sure that this law didn't perpetuate the badness in the laws. And then Solution 1 would also possibly be opposed by food companies set in their ways, because again, food companies have been creating these food products for many years, decades, with these food ingredients that are cheap, but not necessarily good for humans. And then for Solution 2, it will take a long time to standardize because it is still a new solution, and so it will take a long time to scale up, which would be the real reason for the impact it has on people. And then Solution 2 also needs to have awareness of itself spread, because in order to get more funding for Solution 2, we have to get people to care about it. And then for our final limitation on both of the solutions, we can see that for both, we can't change what foods people crave and what people want. So if people don't want foods that are actually healthier, and they want foods that are good with the food ingredients that are bad for them, then we may not be able to get people to care about these solutions and thus the problems, and so we can't help people become healthier because they don't want to. So here's a quick overview of the solutions. So in the present, Solution 1 is worse than Solution 2 because Solution 2 is more viable due to the conflict in government engineering Solution 1. And then Solution 2 is already happening and it just needs to be scaled up. And finally, Solution 1 needs more specificality, so we need to find a way to create a law that is specific and much more narrow than the grass situation. But once again, both solutions require more people to care about the problem in America, because if people don't care, then nobody will have the funding and we won't be able to create it. And here's our work site.